Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday, happy Mars Day. I won't be on here long. I'm still kind of getting used to going live, and I kind of only go live when I feel like I have something to talk about or to share or to offer. And so I like to share it and kind of go on about my business. As I continue to grow and build community, I will probably, extend it and stay on longer. But, as I develop and grow, we'll see how that changes over time. Anywho, happy Tuesday, happy Mars Day, welcome. If you are new to my page or channel, because I'm going to post this on YouTube as well as a replay. If you are new to my page, my name is Valerie Mattice, and I help teach and guide women to return to themselves and to come back home to their body. So today I wanted to talk about returning to yourself, but also why we get stuck in the process of healing and how sometimes healing methods can keep us stuck because they also reward self-abandonment in a lot of ways. And so I wanted to talk about that by way of coming back home to your body versus fixing or trying to repair. Because often we think we have to rid ourselves of our unhealthy patterns, but it's more so to acknowledge them. And honestly, I think it's more helpful to acknowledge the ways that they have been helping you. At some point in your life, you chose those patterns as a way to survive. And so they did what you needed them to do. And once you can acknowledge that, I think you can also create new patterns that could serve you now. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. If you see, I'm looking at my notes. It's because I took notes and I just want to stay on task. And I have a hard time with doing lives and looking at the comments, so I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk about, and then I'll ask questions at the end to see if anybody has anything they would like to say or share. At the end, I do want to offer a embodiment practice, so like a short meditation of just checking in with our body and kind of checking in where we first learned how to abandon ourselves. And so it's going to be like a short hypnosis in a way. So why fixing and healing does not work, and why so many people teach fixing and repair, including myself. So backstory, I have come to this conclusion from my own healing journey. I think we're always healing, or we're at least always attempting to, because our bodies naturally want to heal itself. It's our resistance or our unwillingness that kind of keeps us stuck or not in the healed state. And so when I guess would say I became aware of my journey or path was in 2020, like a lot of people. Well, I would say 2017, but I feel like 2020 really set it in motion of okay, I am actively choosing and saying yes to healing. And since then, I have done the therapy, I have done the spiritual work, I've had coaches, mentors, you name it. Usually if I come across somebody that I feel like has a certain insight or wisdom that I do not have, I pay those people, I get my information, and I go on about my business. So I have done the things, and I would say it has been helpful because I think it has led me to deepen my experience and my journey as a whole, which is why I feel like I can share to the capacity that I do. But last year in particular, I was just exhausted from healing altogether and just really was like, fuck it. I ain't doing no more healing work. I ain't reading no more self-help books. I'm not listening to no more podcasts. I'm really just on some, I'm just going to live my life. And I will say that was the most healing out of all of the 5 years that I got done. And it was really because I was resting, really because I wasn't attempting to heal. I wasn't attempting to try to do anything. I was just literally like accepting where I was. And so I wasn't trying to necessarily change or escape what I was feeling. I was acknowledging that I was exhausted. I was acknowledging that I'm a little depressed. I am overwhelmed. I don't have a support system. And I think through me acknowledging that is how I was able to start healing. Hey, lady. Welcome. I'm talking about how healing and fixing, repairing doesn't really work the way that we think that it does, and how a lot of times it also supports a self-abandonment. So in me acknowledging that like I'm exhausted, I don't have a support system, I really started to look at why I wasn't healing. And it was because of the people that I was still allowing to have access to me and drain me, because of the willingness to self-abandon out of the name of trying to keep the peace or trying to keep hold of this idea of being healed, and I'm on this healing journey. Which also leads me to say a lot of people go to therapy just for the simple fact of saying I'm in therapy. I'm not saying I'm one of those. I feel like I went to therapy. I was in therapy for 2 years. I got my work. I got the tools. And I got on. Like I said, I will pay somebody to help me. And I will receive the medicine. And once I feel like I have received it, I will start to apply it in my own life. I'm not going to waste y'all time. But I have noticed from my own experience with helping people and guiding people that people want to say, I hired a coach. I went to therapy just to say, I'm doing the work. And in reality, they are not doing the work. They are not truly honoring themselves and staying home with themselves, or else they wouldn't be in therapy for no 5-10 years. They would not be hiring coach after coach after coach, addressing the same thing. When it came to me signing up for different mentorships or guides, it was because they was offering something totally different. There was a coaching program I did on ancestral healing, helped me tremendously, did it for 3 months, got the medicine, went on about my business. Went to therapy. Therapy helped me unpack a lot of the things that I was just holding on to, or I wasn't able to identify as even a problem in my life. Now I know the questions to ask. Okay, I can ask my own damn questions and do my own journaling. Cool, bet. But that didn't help me in processing my emotions. It didn't help me start to emotionally regulate. And I would beg to say I didn't really start to emotionally regulate till last year, till I said, fuck it, I'm not doing this healing shit no more. I'm not listening to no self-help podcasts and reading these books no more because they're not helping. And it really took for me to say, this is not helping, and being honest about that, because also you put all this time, energy, and money into healing to the point where now you want to reap the rewards of it, and having to acknowledge that like I'm actually still not where I want to be. And I even made a post about this a couple of weeks ago of like, when do you start to reap the rewards? But I think the rewards come when you start creating them. The rewards are not going to start flowing in just off of the strength of now you done went to therapy. Now you're aware. Now you have the insight, but you're not able to integrate and embody the insight. Because if you can embody the insight, your decisions and how you operate through life, how you create, is going to start changing. It's inevitable because it changes your perception of life. It changes your level of consciousness once you fully integrate it. And so I say all this to say, yes, it's cool to go to therapy. Yes, it's cool to hire the help. But can't nobody walk you through feeling your emotions. And you're going to have to, hey, Cozy Rosie, you're going to have to be honest about that. You're going to have to really start being willing to feel your emotions and digest them. So feeling them and digesting them are two totally different things, because digestion takes inquiry. Digestion takes to be curious. Hey, Rashida. Hey, Simone. Digesting then takes for you to start to unpack, why am I feeling this way? What does this remind me of? Because yes, you can acknowledge in this moment, okay, I'm experiencing anxiety. What does this anxiety remind me of? When did this first start? When did I start feeling this way around this particular person? What does this person have in common with the first person who initially started to make me feel this way? And having to unpack that. And the hardship in that is sometimes we do not remember. We don't remember where it started. And so that brings me to, you don't need repair, you need communion. You need to embrace where you learn how to abandon yourself. And so part of being able to emotionally regulate and process your emotions is having to go back to that 4-year-old, that 5-year-old, that 8-year-old who learned how to abandon themselves, and really start to unpack that. So in my soul retrieval sessions, that's what I guide people into through hypnosis, is recalling childhood memories. Because really what happens is our emotions kind of get stuck. They get on backlog. And so a lot of emotional processing and regulating is having to process old emotions. The anxiety that you feel today may not actually be the anxiety because of today. It may be you got 10 years of anxiety built up, and you kind of have to like flesh that out. Hypnosis, you say yes. So hypnosis, I know a lot of people feel a way about hypnosis, especially Black people, rightfully so, because of the idea of being programmed. But we are programmed anyway. We are born into our ancestral patterns and programming. We come into the world that teaches us societal programming. And until you get to a point in your, I think, adulthood where you acknowledge your programs and your patterns, and now can reprogram yourself in a way that's empowering. So if this no longer resonates with me, I don't want to believe this about money. I don't want to believe this about love. I don't want to believe this about womanhood and loving myself. Now you have the opportunity to say, this is what I choose to believe. And I think we have a lot of programming around that because of how we view God. And thinking, well, God created us in his image. If God wanted us to have better, he would give us better, instead of, what type of God do you need to believe in that would support you living a beautiful life? Because the God that we believe in has been handed to us, but this is a God of somebody's imagination. A God that they created, a God that would create a beautiful life for them. So what kind of God do you need to create that would allow you to feel loved as you are, that would allow you to have beauty in your life, that would allow you to operate in a level of authenticity that would allow you to love who you want to love, Whether that means you are bi, you're homosexual, whatever it is, you get to create that God. Now, if you want to create the God in your own image, which is my personal belief, is that we're going to create the God that we need to fulfill our purpose. We're going to create the God that would align with what we need and what we have incarnated to accomplish. And if you are stuck in the programming that the God of your life can only be gifted to you and that you don't have the power to create it, it's going to be very hard to unpack, and it's going to be very hard to really come home to yourself, because you are coming home to a self that doesn't really feel authentic to you, because you are under this perception that God has made you this way. And that goes back to even how we look at our parents. A lot of what we've been talking about over there at Lady in the House is how our mothers have fucked us up in a way of passing down their programming. Rightfully so. We inherit our mother's nervous system. So if our mother didn't know anything about God, she didn't create her own God, she didn't know how to love, she didn't know what beauty meant to be lived in her life, she didn't know how to embody beauty, she didn't know how to embody what it means to be sovereign and independent in her nervous system or in her body, then no, she gonna pass that down to you through her nervous system. But it also goes back to, what did she believe about God? What did she believe about her own divinity and sacredness? And so part of reclaiming and coming home to yourself is having to acknowledge, what do you believe? Who taught it to you? And having to go back to that little girl, that little boy. I ain't gonna say little boy because I don't even be talking to men. Which give me the space to also say, none of my content is for men. I don't work with men. Not because I'm a man hater, but because I do emotional processing and regulation work and work with the nervous system. Men and women have two different systems of processing. I don't know personally what it feels like to be a man, so it would be very hard for me to guide a man into coming back to their body, because I don't know what that feels like. I think men would have to seek that type of healing from other men. Yeah, because why would a man be? But even the men in my life who appreciate my work, I'm still like, yeah, no. I personally have only worked with one man, but it was because he was very emotionally intelligent, to the point where I would seek wise counsel from him. And then there is not many outside, I wouldn't say there's any man outside of him that I would seek wise counsel from. So that's my disclaimer in that I don't work with men. But it's for the purpose of there's nothing I could help you with, and there's nothing you could help me with. But going back to what I was talking about. So the first question, I think, in healing, I think, is, where have I been trying to heal away from myself? So am I pursuing my healing to escape who I am now? So if you're a people pleaser, if you are codependent, if you are male-centered, are you healing to get away from that version of you? Because that's automatically going to alert your nervous system that we can't trust this healing, because you can't even accept where you are. So a part of healing, I think, is to identify, okay, yes, I am these things, but how have they been working for me? Why did I choose these patterns for a system of survival? And if I'm going to move out of survival, I have to acknowledge that these have worked for me. Our subconscious needs patterns. It needs patterns of survival so that we can think about other shit. We don't have to think about walking. We don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think about getting up and taking a shower, because we're already pre-programmed to do these things. We do them every day. If you have coffee every day at 10 o'clock, your body is naturally going to put that in the rhythm of the day. And so whatever pattern you have been existing in, that it has been working for you. And I think you have to acknowledge why it has been working for you, how it's been working for you, in order for you to say, okay, I no longer want that pattern. It's no longer what I want to experience in my day-to-day life. In order for you to get to a point where now you're replacing your 10 a.m. coffee with tea, you're going to have to do some pattern, like work on your habits. And part of working on your habits is having to acknowledge, I want to be a healthier me. I want to feel better in my body. I don't like the way coffee, I'm speaking about my own personal experience. I have a coffee addiction, and I'm trying to wean myself off of coffee and into tea, which I drink tea anyway. Here go my tea for the day, which is really like, what do they call it? What did we call it? Loaded water. It's coconut water, my herbal tea for the week, which I make a herbal tea blend at the beginning of the week to match my menstrual cycle or whatever phase I'm in, and liquid IV. Very tasty. But in order for me to not lean, that was this week's tea blend. I'm moving into my luteal phase, so this week's tea blend was geared towards that. But in order to wean myself off of coffee, I gotta keep in mind, what have I been using coffee for? Coffee is a sense of comfort for me. I don't necessarily drink coffee to wake me up, because I'm usually fully up by the time I drink coffee. But I've been using coffee as a sense of comfort and as a way to combat my chronic constipation. TMI, I know. So now I need other ways to combat that. If I'm going to let go of the coffee, what pattern or what habit am I going to put in place to replace it? The same thing goes for healing. If you are a recovering people pleaser, why were you a people pleaser? And something that I am acknowledging too about being a people pleaser, I don't necessarily resonate with being a people pleaser. I have learned a new term, fawning, which is more so wanting other people to be at peace so that I can be comfortable. So I don't necessarily want to please you. I want you to be good and off on your own so that you don't bother me. So that you don't bother my sense of safety or peace. It's not so much that I want you to like me. I just want you to not invade my space once I have the space. So the same like for my kids. Okay, I want to make sure you're fed. I want to make sure you had your bath. You got your pajamas. I done read you a bedtime story. Cool. Go in your room. I'm finna go in my room and have me some me time. So it's not so much I want you to be pleased. I want you to be out of my space. And so with that, I think, where was I going with that? Oh, talking about people pleasing. That was a sidebar. But you got to identify, why were you a people pleaser? So just in that, me realizing, I don't think I'm so much of a people pleaser, more so as I am a fixer. I want you to be fixed so I can fix me. And I am learning how that also has been affecting helping people, which is why I have avoided this work. I have dabbled in teaching and guiding for the past 3 years. And I get a touch of it and I take myself back in a way, because I don't like the feeling of being needed, because I'm needed in so many other spaces. And I actually did a reading yesterday, and that's what made it click. So this is a sidebar. So I did a reading yesterday, and one thing about doing readings is a lot of times people want readings because they want to confirm what they already know. And so you come into the reading feeling like, I want you to confirm this for me instead of clarity. And I always say, I don't give confirmation. I don't give answers. I will give you a zoomed out picture of what's going on in your life so you can make an informed decision. And I could tell in the reading, it just wasn't clicking like that. Or like some of the things that came up wasn't really probably what you wanted to hear. And the discomfort in it. And afterwards I had to like sit with myself of like, why does that bother me when I feel like it doesn't click? And it's because I feel compelled to help. It makes sense when really, if you come to me for a reading or any type of insight, I am to give you the clarity or the insight. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it is you. I think it's more of a personal thing because this has not just happened with you. And this, what makes me like do the work but then shy away from it is because I feel like, did I do my job if it didn't land the way that I maybe wanted to or expected it to? Or did I really help you in the way that you were looking for? I guess I could say that. And I am learning. It is for me to give the insight, give the guidance, give whatever, and then allow people to process and digest it in their own timing. And that I don't actually need to be a part of that process. My process is to initiate it or activate it in a way and give you the tools or the resources so that you can regulate and digest the information. And so it's more about, again, that finding of feeling like I have to make sure people are good in order for me to do my work. And I've done a mentorship before, and this was the problem. And after that mentorship, I said I will never do another mentorship, which that may change in the future as I do my own work. But why is because every session we had, I would be saying like, did you do the homework from last week? Have you done this? And then the answer would be like, no. And it's like, well, I can't drag you into your healing. I can only support you so much. And it just became what I felt like a little codependent. And it's like, if I'm healing through codependent, I can't have clients that are also codependent. And so in that way, it started to feel icky. And I guess really what it would have required for me to have better boundaries and for me to not feel compelled to want to do more than just my job. But I don't even know how we got to that point. But the question that I guess I'm leaving you all with is, where have I been trying to heal away from myself? The things that you feel like you are trying to let go. Like I said, people pleasing, being I don't know, codependent or male-centered, or all the terms we like to say, a narcissist, or manipulator, whatever it is. If you know that about yourself already, which I think therapy can give you the insight of like, okay, I've been a people pleaser. Okay, cool. How are you trying to heal away from that? Versus embracing that this was something that actually worked for you, and now it's no longer working. So like now you need a new pattern, a new program, which leads to having to know the difference between survival and presence. Because survival will say, people pleasing is not working for me, and so I need a new means of survival. Versus presence is acknowledging I'm a people pleaser and being able to sit with when that comes up. Because acknowledging that you're a people pleaser in the moment, in the therapy or in the reading, whatever, is cool. In the moments where you feel compelled to abandon yourself to go help another, start to pay attention to what that feels like in your body. Really be present and like, oh, I feel this in my chest. Oh, I feel this in my stomach. Oh, this just made my left calf tingle, or there was a sensation there. Really begin to be present with that, because once you can identify how it feels in your body, that's where you can work with that. Because if you can't acknowledge what it feels like in your body, means you're not home within your body, and you can't really fix it outside of yourself. And if you cut off that relationship because, oh, that person required me to people please, oh, that person was asking for too much, sure, cut that relationship off. The next relationship you get into, if you haven't addressed it with your body, it's going to show up in that relationship. And so you're going to keep recycling these relationships or stay in solitude. But solitude helps in the repairing of it, or even the coming home to yourself, because you have to be able to sit with what your own energy feels like without being tugged each which way. But the challenge is going to be when you get back into relationship with people, when you start getting new friendships, when you meet a new romantic partner, you start a family, whatever it is, when you start to have to consider another, that's really the work of staying home with your body. And if you haven't done that body work of really being able to identify what it feels like in your body, it's going to be hard to navigate. You're only going to be able to navigate it as an after effect. Feeling your body allows you to have the forethought of like, I know what this feels like in my body. So even when something has not really happened yet, it could be something very subtle that go over your head. That's usually a blind spot. Oh, but I feel this tingle in my body. That allows me to now become more aware before it gets out of hand. Because once it get out of hand, I done already said something. I done already did something. I done already cut you off. I done already cussed you out. And now it's to a point of no return. Being at home with your body and knowing what it feels like in your body allows you to be in relationship with people and be able to be in conflict. I started to realize, like, when is a relationship able to be repaired? And I realized I'm willing to be in conflict with people. I'm not willing to be harmed. But part of knowing when to repair in conflict is knowing what it feels like in your body. So before we even get into an argument, or it even gets to a point of frustration, I got to do the awareness work within myself of how is this affecting me? What is the part that I played in it? Because nobody wants to say they played a part. And I hate to say it, but especially women. Especially when we have a really hard time. And personally, I think we have a really hard time with acknowledging the part that we played because we're so disconnected from our body. We don't know what it feels like, for real. And so when somebody is telling something to us that we did and putting that mirror up, you can say, oh, no, I didn't do that. Oh, that's not me. Technically, it's not you. You ain't been in your body. So they're not necessarily lying. But in order for you to be able to see that blind spot, you got to become present. Which, let me see, leads me to my next topic. I want to talk about some of the ways you could tell if you are abandoning yourself outside of the conflict. And to also compare this with what I was saying about therapy. Like, therapy will give you the insight. It'll help you be able to pinpoint some of the things. But in terms of nervous system work and being home with your body, how you can know that you are abandoning yourself is constant chronic exhaustion. If you are constantly exhausted, it's because you're not home within your body. So if you are self-abandoning to go help this person, you self-abandon to go to work, go do this, go do that, to go heal and do therapy, then yeah, you're gonna be exhausted because you've been outside of your body all day. It's like when I think about that, you ever go to sleep and sleep for the 8 hours, 7, 8 hours that they say we're supposed to have, and you still wake up exhausted? It's because even in your sleep, you are not resting. There's no reason why you should be that exhausted if you had a full 8 hours of sleep. That's a clear indication that you have abandoned yourself at some point. Another one is confusion in relationships. If you don't know where you end and the other person begins, you're going to be exhausted. Something that, and this was like early, because this was while I was still in a relationship, and this is what helped me start to identify enmeshment and codependency. It was a night I was in a good mood, and my partner at the time, he just kind of was like standoffish. He kind of had like an attitude. And before I went to bed, and I'm so grateful for the ways that spirit guides me. Before I went to bed, I told myself, pay attention to the mood you wake up in. I'm in a good mood. And I'm in a good mood to the point where I'm not even like worried about like, all right, you guys, I don't care. I'm going to bed. I woke up the next morning in such a bad mood. and just cranky, irritable. And I immediately knew like, this is not my energy. This is his. And so that's a part of that codependency, but also trying to fix people. So I done came out of my body to go try to regulate you. And now I'm irritated. Because I probably didn't even have the capacity to do that. Especially if I'm in a good mood, that means I'm at an even level. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm over the moon. I'm not in overflow to where I really have the capacity to even do that type of co-regulating. But when you're in a relationship, you live with people, you're naturally going to co-regulate. But that's something to start paying attention to. And once you start to be aware of your body, you'll know if it's your energy and if it's somebody else's. If I feel a certain type of way and I check in with my body and I don't feel it in my body, I know it's not mine. And so I will intentionally, and I have a meditation on this too, I will intentionally do like a short meditation of feeling my own energy and my own energy bubble. Our aura or our energy bubble is 6 feet all around us. So picture those like bubbles people can like run on water in. Picture one of those, and you're in it, and then ask or declare any energy that is not mine, step outside this bubble. Watch how quick your energy shifts. And so now I do that quite often, especially if I'm around my family or I'm about to have to deal with somebody that I feel like I know siphons my energy anyway. I will ask them to step outside of my energy. Another way you'll know if you are abandoning yourself is if you keep repeating the same cycles. Because again, it shows that you are not present. It's really, really hard for somebody to get one over on you when you're present. It's really hard for people to lie to you if you're present. And we were talking about this in the live lady yesterday about how did this come up? I remember commenting about something about body language. Oh, trusting yourself. Oh yeah, because of how men like to, what's the word? Basically tell you your intuition ain't right. Gaslight you. If you start to really become present, you will start to be, especially if you're in close relationship with people, you can start to notice how eye movement, how pupils dilate when they lying. Because you got to be dysregulated to lie. Because your body knows the truth. So there's going to be some way you show that you lying. It may be how you, just how I just shifted, not that I was lying, but there's going to be a way that you indicate that you're not telling the truth. It may be in how you switch your breathing. If your breathing becomes labored versus slow and regulated. It's a lot of things that you could tell about a person that you could just tell they're dysregulated. And we were talking about building like a safe profile. Those are things that I feel like now I'm paying attention to. Like, do this person even have a practice of regulating? So like, no, you don't have to be regulated all the time. I feel like that's not a realistic expectation. But do you have a practice of coming home to yourself? Do you have a system in place that you check in with yourself, that you do some emotional processing and regulating? But if you are continuously repeating cycles, that's a clear indication that you're not present, because you would catch yourself in the moments where you are about to repeat the same cycle. Which is why I said last year was the most like healing year, because I started to be able to spot how I was participating in a lot of the things that I was complaining about. I'm complaining about, relationships not showing up for me, but I keep showing up. I still got the expectation for them to show up. So like that really don't have nothing to do with them. At that point, you know exactly who they are. And so if I'm gonna repeat the pattern, I gotta check in with myself. But part of that work is body awareness of knowing what it feels like when you're about to repeat the same pattern, and be able to console the little girl in you who knows this pattern of survival. I literally have to talk to myself sometimes like I'm 4. Or I will explain things like I would to my child. Because clarity to a child is a lifesaver. A lot of our coping mechanisms and our survival patterns is because we didn't know what was going on. And so we created a storyline. We created a whole idea of what we know about life based on no one giving us clarity. And so sometimes I will go back and say, look, I know we got anxiety right now. I know you feel sad about this, but this is why we are experiencing this right now. So I get that it makes you feel sad. I'm here with you. And I have a whole playlist, an inner child playlist that I will listen to. And that's like my emotional regulation tool, is listening to that playlist, because that's my way of singing to my inner child. And a lot of the music is about coming back to myself. So I had shared that in thank you for doing that. You're welcome. I think that's it. Attracting dynamics that mirror. Oh, last one. This one is good too. Attracting dynamics that mirror abandonment. This one is good because, and I've talked about this a little bit in regards to being a single parent, but if you abandon yourself, other people will abandon you. So it may look like the father of your child abandoning you. It may look like friends not showing up for you and leaving you to feel abandoned. If you have relationships in your life currently that feel like abandonment, is because you are abandoning yourself. And the hurt and the anger and the grief that you feel towards that person is really what you should be feeling towards yourself. And the reason why we get stuck in our healing is because we are outsourcing that grief to them. So yeah, you want to complain and argue this person down about how they have abandoned you, when really you got to check in with, again, that 4 or 5, 6, 7-year-old of, I'm sorry I abandoned you. Now I know how that feels. I hate that I did that to you. Because we be wanting our parents to do that, myself included. The conversations I've had with my mom, why I've gone in contact with my mom at this point is because I have fully accepted that I have to mother me now. So if I'm no longer looking to you to parent and mother me, I just got to look at you as a woman. And as a woman, we wouldn't be friends for real. So like, no shade to you, but you've already left me for dead in a lot of ways. And so that's not a friendship I would have in any other way. I wouldn't allow none of my friends to do nothing like that to me. So if I gotta parent me at this point, I gotta be my own mother, then I don't know if I could hold space for you in that way. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, back to having to reparent yourself and acknowledge how you have abandoned the little girl and sit with that and be able to share in that grievance, because that grief that you feel isn't just your grief, it's hers. And the grief that you want to fix or repair now is not going to be repaired for real, because it exists in multiple timelines. So yeah, you might be experiencing it now, but it also existed in 1995 when you were 7. And so it's layers. And so that's going to take time to feel and process. And part of healing is being patient and having to be okay with the state that you are in now. Part of the reason why I think we get stuck is when we're trying to rush the process, and when we rush it, we end up repeating certain cycles, versus knowing healing is probably going to take a good 2-3 years. Hey, ma'am. Healing is not a quick fix. At least healing your nervous system. Healing your nervous system is going to take a good 2-3 years. And I would say just try to set your life up in a way that is easeful. And when I say easeful, I don't mean easy. When I say easeful, I mean what relationships feel like love to you, that even in hardship, we keep talking about safe houses over there on Lady of the House. What feels safe? That is what creates an easeful life. The life that I have created here in Texas over the past 3 years has been easeful, have not been easy. These have been the hardest 3 years of my life, but they're also the most easeful. And they have been easeful by way of really faith, a supreme level of faith. When I say easeful, I work from home. My kids are able to catch the school bus to school and home. I moved into a beautiful apartment. I love my apartment, but I moved here sight unseen. I did not know what the inside of my house was going to look like. I just knew I needed to move, and I trusted that, it'll work out in the best way possible. But in pouring into myself, I have been able to create an easeful life, and I'm grateful for that. But it required me to be home within myself in order to do so. and to have a supreme level of trust with myself, because some of the decisions that led me here, nobody agreed with. But it was just something I feel like I knew for myself. But anywho, I wanted to end this with a short embodiment practice. So a short hypnosis or meditation, as a way to teach how to come back to your body and to become more aware of how you feel in the present moment, and to be aware of what you're feeling, and really being able to name the emotion and how it shows up in your body. And this is going to be a short embodiment practice that also will kind of help, hopefully, show you where you are abandoning yourself, and where you first learn to leave yourself. Okay, so get comfortable. Hopefully you're not driving, so you can close your eyes and kind of get relaxed in a way. But tuning into your breath, becoming aware of your inhale, becoming aware of your exhale, and just start to become focused on your breath, allowing whatever thoughts may come. This is more of a practice of mindfulness and awareness than it is about stillness or silence. This is more for us to be present in where we are, whether where we are is in a state of overthinking, whether where we are is anxious, if we're thinking about tomorrow or next week. Simply become aware and come back to your breath. Come back to your inhale and your exhale. And then just become aware of your feet, breathing into your toes, bringing your breath up to your ankles and your calves, up to your knees, your thighs, relaxing your muscles, becoming aware of your hips, your stomach muscles, allowing your body to feel a little more relaxed, a little heavier, grounded to the surface below you. Bringing your inhale into your chest, allowing a sense of expansion. Relaxing your jaw, relaxing your ears, and releasing any tension from your forehead. And just continue breathing. And just set the intention to become fully aware of your body and your energy. Calling all lost parts back to yourself to be present now. Giving yourself permission to fully be here. To fully be with your body. And just do a body scan. If there's any tension, any sensations in your body. Do you feel any stress Any emotions that are showing up in your body? If so, allow them to be present and continue to breathe. And just allow them to be here. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to heal. When the emotion is ready to be released and let go, it will. If anything does come up, also become aware of other times you have felt this within your body and acknowledge what it feels like in this moment to be with it. To be here with yourself fully and allowing yourself to fully be. Without escaping, without avoiding, without needing to be somewhere else. Just present. And whenever you're ready, come back to your breath. You can wiggle your toes, your fingers, and come back to your body. Hopefully that was helpful in a way of you can just do check-ins with yourself throughout the day to see what emotions are present, or just to become aware of your body as a whole, become aware of your feet, your ankles. And it's a way to be where your feet are, to be present in a moment without feeling like you need to do anything about it, because typically the repair will naturally happen on its own. You actually don't need to control the repair or the healing. That you just have to be with it. All right, that's it. That's all. And unless y'all have any questions, I'll be back on Thursday. I wanted to talk about Mercury retrograde that starts on Thursday. I like a Mercury retrograde. I know many people feel a way about Mercury retrogrades, but I always feel like it's a way of like cleaning out your closet, if you will, that I appreciate as a Virgo. So you're welcome, and I shall see y'all later. Bye.